Hey, Chris, it's another week. More MOVEIT stuff we were talking about. So we can probably start by sharing some of that with people, and welcome everybody to Cybertalk with Bob and Chris, and yet another breach.
I feel like this is just like a recurring theme.
Yeah, it's people are getting numb to it.
It, yeah, but we don't want to lose sight of it. But yeah, the move it stuff's wild. Just because more and more people get hit with it.
So a quick recap for people that didn't see what happened last week is what was the MOVEIT issue, or what is MOVEIT?
MOVEIT transfer is what is considered a secure file transfer software. Runs on Windows. Over the weekend of Memorial Weekend, it got hit with a 0-day vulnerability exploit from a group called CLOP. CLOP has done a bunch of ransomware activity, but this time they just used it to exfiltrate a bunch of data using SQL injection flaw. So they basically went to the website, were able to enter some information and extract data out of the database and execute some code. So they stole a bunch of data from crazy amounts of data. And we're seeing now that
And for companies that are currently using MOVEIT, even if they were monitoring MOVEIT type traffic, it would look real.
Yeah, 100%. Well, they would have had to know that the data was being accessed maliciously.
Right. But I'm saying in general, somebody says, oh, we use MOVEIT, so it's normal traffic for us.
Yeah. And they didn't get hit with ransomware. They just extracted the data. So, which is kind of weird for a ransomware group. But anyway, Sony has now been published on their dark website. Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Now, PricewaterhouseCoopers, I believe, lost 121 gigs of data according to CLOP, but E&Y is like 3, so it's like okay, three. Sony they didn't really say. Louisiana though, every one of their driver's licenses right after we got done last week got announced that they got hit with the MOVEIT, and then Oregon lost a bunch of their driver's license information too. So, why were they stored on servers that people could just pull data from? That's a good question that we should probably ask a lot of these companies. Why, if they're doing it for secure transfer, why are they leaving data accessible to it afterwards? Why aren't they moving it to someplace?
I was about to ask that question. Is like, what did they extract the whole damn database that that had the driver's license in? Was it just some files that people were laying around? That's a lot of big data files to be sitting.
Yeah, it was just it was just stored, and they were able to pull the data. And it's like, okay, well, I don't use MOVEIT every day, and nor after seeing this, I don't think I would use MOVEIT. But that's not to say that you shouldn't use it. It's just there are 3 vulnerabilities deep now, including there's a funny one though. A guy on Twitter posted the vulnerability, the 0-day. It didn't realize it was a 0-day, and then Progress Software was complaining that he published the 0-day without notifying them, and he's like, "Okay, I'm sorry," because it was like I think it was the second 0-day, and second or third one. But they have 3 SQL injection flaws, and I don't want to make light of this because this is really serious. But I was having a conversation with a guy on my team, and he does pen testing and things like that, and we were talking about code review. Because a lot of times these companies go through code review. They submit their code, they have somebody go through it and look at it from a security perspective. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't appear like they did code review. I'm like, no, they did code review. CLOP ransomware group did the code review for them.
There you go.
Which was funny. Not so funny if you got your stuff taken, but it kind of goes to show like these companies that are making software, they need to start thinking about secure by default and secure code review upfront before publishing this stuff. Especially when you start seeing details that they knew about this 0-day, not Progress, but the CLOP group knew about this 0-day since 2021.
Wow.
So it's existed for more than almost 2 years. It was like, I think July of 2021 is what they're going back and seeing that like they started fooling around with it and manually trying to leverage it. They took a long time to try to figure out how to exploit it and how to get it, exploit it for gain. And look, everybody should be going through code review. Like if you're a software company and you're not going through if you're not having your code looked at from security perspective by third parties, you're doing your disservice to your customers.
But Chris, this goes back to a SQL injection issue.
Mm-hmm.
How long has SQL injection? Actually, I'm just popping up in
long time
Google right now. So 1998. was when the
Yeah.
when Malwarebytes is just referencing
Well,
one of the first
and,
documented cybersecurity SQL injection from a researcher.
and I posted a video for anybody that doesn't know what SQL injection is. It's basically, let's say you go to a website and there's a form on it, right? They usually use a database in the backend. The form should only accept certain things. They should only be allowed to accept certain things. But what happens in a SQL injection, they can put information in that form. This is an example. They can put information in that form that causes the database to do something it shouldn't. So I posted a video, I think last week, where it was like, okay, look, it's like going into a movie theater and going up to one of those kiosks and just hitting a bunch of keys. And then instead of getting one ticket that you wanted, you get tickets for every movie in the theater. And that's exactly what they did. They figured out how to do a SQL injection flaw. And they, instead of getting the data maybe that they should have got or whatever, they got all the data. And they just sexual.
And this goes back to where I was going with that SQL injection has been known about since 1998. Oh, yeah. This is lazy programmers that and then not following processes like you said of having somebody review the code or having poor programming, not having real programming standards to begin with.
Yeah, they're not sanitizing the input. They're just not. And look, we're not trying to destroy this company, but like, you are selling a secure file transfer software, and anybody creating software should be going through secure code review. This isn't just a progress thing. This isn't like anything, but like, look, we're sitting in a world right now where this week Apple just patched 3 0 days. I think they have 9 0 days since the beginning of the year that have been patched. And the one this week was two of them were 0 clicks that were used in the Operation Triangulation iMessage flaw that Kaspersky talked about, where they can infect a phone with you just receiving an iMessage. So we're not blaming the company specifically. It's just that it's stuff that, yeah. When Bob says lazy programming, if they're not sanitizing input and somebody can just put whatever they want in there and keep getting away with it, you can point the finger at them and say, you guys need to do better.
For a real simple example, there's been cases where when someone, like if someone doesn't check the input, like Chris is saying, you could literally put your password in a password form. You could put in some random password, a space, or true, and it would be interpreted as a valid login. SQL injection could be that. Could end up being ultra.
That's where I was going with the sanitizing the input, like not accepting certain character strings and things like that. So, look, it's bad enough. I have other questions, like we said. Why is some of this data being left there? It's able to be extracted. If the point of MOVEIT is just to securely transfer files, why aren't the files what's not being done with these companies too to make sure that those files are pulled and not available if something like this does happen?
Well, forget about the files not being available. What about applying the right having the right policies in place to have people only access data they should be accessing? Because this sounds like the files were just sitting around there.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they were accessible from the MOVEIT transfer server. So
yeah. So anyway, I think we beat this one up enough. We got a holiday weekend coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend, and it seems that seems to be a great time for these bad guys to get started. So I think it'd be a good time to remind everybody that a couple weeks ago when Chris and I were with the FBI agent made a really good comment to us and said, one of the best things you can do today is train your people to read. And I want to remind everybody that they should be thinking about before they're clicking. And if you don't have any type of cybersecurity awareness training, reach out to us. We can actually get you guys set up so that to help you educate your people and then go from there. Like the security team for us have a mission. We want to protect 1 million people, and we're going to do it one person at a time.
Well, coming up on 4th of July too brings me back a couple years. Kaseya, 2 years ago this year, man. 2 years ago. Oh, and they screwed up. They tacked too early. If they would have just waited until a little bit later and waited for more teams to get available, they probably would have got a lot more than they did.
Yeah,
Suckers.
that was an interesting weekend. We got
Interesting couple weeks, right?
interesting couple of weeks. Luckily, we were not in the direct fire of that one, but
You know what's funny is I heard somebody talking about this is like just turn your stuff off when you leave for like a holiday weekend. It's not terrible advice. I mean, it doesn't necessarily stop it. It depends on what the flaw is. Like if attackers are doing that, but like if your stuff's off.
it's nothing to watch if it's turned off. I understand. I had a couple of people ask me that question. He goes, "Well, it's a holiday weekend. Should we just shut everything off?" You could.
I mean, if you have no reason to, if you have no reason to work and stuff like that, yeah, turn your stuff off. Is it really required? Not really. If you're doing things right.
But guys, if you do decide to shut your stuff off, let your IT team know, and you're using an outsourced IT team, make sure they know too, because otherwise they're going to be jumping through hoops all weekend trying to figure out why your site's down, and possibly even dispatch people to see what's going on.
They just wait till like midnight on Friday and they just unplug their firewall. Just walk away. They didn't turn anything off. They just turned the internet off, and you're just like, why can't we get there? And then we're blowing phones up and stuff like that. So train your people, but like just be wary. If you have internal IT, be wary of holiday weekends. It's always seems to be a thing. Like I said, MOVEIT hit over Memorial Weekend. Now we got 4th of July coming. 4th of July is going to be a longer weekend though, just where the 4th lies in the week.
It's going to be 2 weeks of vacation time for people. People are checking out already.
Oh, for some people, 100%. For some people, yeah. So just want to make sure, be vigilant, patch your stuff. If you want to talk about the Apple stuff, basically, if you have an Apple device, just go patch it. I mean, we can say that.
Do some more updates. Make sure you got all your Apple updates on all the devices, and turn on encryption whenever you can. So
and definitely go sign up for MOVEIT software. Oh, I wouldn't do that right now. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm gonna get canceled for this. Oh, I want to leave you with one other thing. There's a new group, and we'll talk about this in the future as more information comes out. It's called 8base, and they are doxing small medium businesses globally since April of last year. And there's not a lot of information about them. Researchers are trying to get more information on their TTPs, so their tactics, techniques, and protocols for like how they do things and procedures. But their leak site has some pretty interesting terms of service that outlines 13 rules. That one of them is prohibiting police involvement. So we'll do more research. We'll come back with this, but I just wanted to kind of let that out there. It's a new group, and like I said, they've been operating for about a year, and not too much information on it, but they have some interesting stuff.
Okay.
So
cool. I'm just throw the final one out on if you want some more tips for how to protect your business today and through the weekend. Grab the tip sheet over at 15ways.metromsp.com, and we'll go from there. And
I promise you, install MOVEIT software is not on that list.
That is true.
I'll beat the horse dead there.
It's actually right here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. All right. Well, have a good week, and we'll have something special for 4th. We'll do something special.
See you later.